guys, and welcome back to Do. So today, Minister of Immigration is answering questions about Manitoba PNP, MPNP, and we have loads and loads of questions to ask them. So I'm on my way there, and I will keep you updated on the conversation. Yeah, so see you all later. Okay, so let me just give like a brief information about what this is. So we've had applications, MPNP stands for the Manitoba PNP. So we've had MPNP applications that have been submitted since 2023, and we've not had lots of feedback. We've had very few nominations being issued. People are tired, depressed, frustrated. I totally, oh no, the sun is in my face, but you know what? Okay, so I'll do it this way. Frustrated, and I've seen that firsthand because we have this group where we help each other with our application process, and at this point lots of people are just tired. Call them PNP and keep getting the same thing. Timelines are being shifted. Oh, it's 7 months this time around. Oh, it's 8 months. It's this. Oh, you just wait until you get your nomination. And people don't even know what exactly is going on. So luckily, the Minister of Labour, I can't really see, honestly, I've forgotten the designation, so I'll put it up here somewhere, right? Coming to talk about MPNP. And we have plenty of questions for them to answer. Questions like, what is happening to the submitted applications since 2023? Why have we not gotten like concrete feedback? How long more, or how much longer rather, is it going to take? People are tired. People are in a limbo. First question. Second question is, are we expecting letter of advice to apply this year, 2025? We have families that want to come. I want my own family members to come. They've been in the pool, they are waiting. Like, I need my family here. I'm tired. What is happening? Are we expecting LAAs this year? Another question would also be, and these are questions that I have solicited from groups. So we have people that are not in Brandon right now, so they can't ask this question. So what I even did was asking groups to say, guys, how far, what's going on? Do you guys have questions you want us to ask these people? Send it to me, let me call it, and I will see what I can do. I don't know if I can ask all the questions. So luckily, some of the other people that are going, I just hope that I meet, some of the people that I know over there, and share these questions amongst ourselves so they would answer. And then we'll see the questions that other people have to ask. Anyway, so that's the background, and I'm not just going there for myself or for my own family, but also for the community that we've built over the years on Telegram, and even for you who would like to know what is going on. I might not know you, you might not be in those groups, but I know that this information will also be vital to you. So I really hope that we get great and good news today, and we'll go holla. So I'm here. More cars are just parked all over the place. This is where we're going to. This is where it's happening, and I hope I get a good seat. Just going. Okay, thank you. So I'm signing my name. There's refreshments. Thank you. Make my way to the front. That's front. Good morning. I can sit anywhere, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're here now, and we'll see. I'm sitting in front like I do in school. See, trying so hard to ensure that I don't capture people into the video. Hey, don't come into my video, don't come into my video. I also want to know how long this will take because, like I said, I have somewhere else to be and need to plan accordingly. So these are the questions that we want to ask, questions that we need answers to, so that it won't be like I'm doing over calcul. Let me move this camera here. So that it won't be like I'm doing over calcul. I want to share these questions. Remember, I don't know if I mentioned that in my earlier videos. So ran into somebody here. His name is Solomon. He's sitting right beside me. So I want to share some of these questions with him. So he came to tell me that yeah, I already asked too. I asked before I came in. He came to tell me again that am I a vlogger? That I cannot record, but I already know. So have pen and paper. See the pen. We have paper. So we're ready. We came prepared. So after relaxing and saying, let me come run this gist now for you guys, I just realized that I left the notes with, the book with the notes that I took in the car downstairs. So I'm on my way there now to go get them so I can run you all the gist. Just when I thought that it was time to rest. Anyways, I should get there shortly. Look at it, I found it. So let me get back up and drop the story. Yo guys, so I'm here now and with the notes, responses, questions, and feedback from what's happening with the immigration process in Manitoba. And I'm sure you must have seen this already. This was the questions that I had drafted to ask the Minister for Labor and Immigration, MLA Malaya Marcelino. She was there with the MLA for Brandon East, who is Glenn Simard, and we would get down to it now. This Newcomers Forum is the first of its kind in Manitoba. I don't know if it's generally in Canada, but in Manitoba is the first of its kind. And they did mention that they intend to do more and more of this. So they would address people's concerns, give feedback, give responses, and updates on what's happening within the immigration space in Canada as it pertains MPNP or Manitoba. So I need to look for page one. This is 452 3. So the session started with the minister, speaking about Manitoba and PNP in Manitoba and how, we won't stand for using, or rather for people using the province to get what they need. You tend to have people who don't stay in Manitoba. They basically just, come get their PRs and then they dip, they just bounce. Pew! And that doesn't make sense because the plan for the MPNP is to get people to stay back, build the economy, and make Manitoba a better place. Da, 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 da. That's not what we're here for. Let's go straight into the questions, right? This is the first time an open forum like this is happening with the minister answering questions. The first question, so this dude asked, how do we replicate the ideal Canadian behavior to ensure that our families abroad come join us here? Basically speaking to family unification, and how would MPNP identify the ideal clients, give or take? The minister earlier mentioned in her opening remarks about, how we need to ensure that people don't bring negative behaviors from where they're coming from into Canada. Minister said, about family unification, there are certain, in fact, family unification aside, she basically said the office knows how to identify the prime candidate. And a couple of things that they have realized is this particular candidate was within, the 30s and 40s. They have strong ties to Manitoba, in this case, family members. And then they have minimum of 2 years work experience. Now, these are things that, in all honesty, we all already know. She spoke about how Manitoba has 83,000 temporary residents who are in need of PR. Now, federal government gave the allocation, the federal government allocation to Manitoba is that they should give 85% of those people already in Manitoba PRs. So which basically is speaking to skilled workers in Manitoba. And last year alone, Manitoba had 89% of the people already here in Manitoba nominated. Now, going back to skilled workers overseas. She said her star applicants, because those are the guys who stay. Retention is a major problem. People are just leaving. People come to Manitoba just to get their PRs and just bounce. Now, she said that her star applicants are the skilled workers overseas, because those are the ones who stay. And they have seen that from statistics, they tend to have a 90% retention rate of those guys who are the skilled workers overseas. And she intends, or they intend to go back to that, but they can't do everything at once. On to the next question, which was mine, by the way. So that question was, I'm just going to read out what I wrote here. What's MPNP's plan regarding pending submissions from 2023, and when do they intend to finalize them? And that they need to remember that the last submission for the 2023 LAA was 14 months ago. We have people who are just in a state of limbo. Excuse me. We have people who are just in a state of limbo, and this is affecting their mental health. Her response. So she said that my question was basically speaking to, the long application or long processing timelines. And she said, because I also, in my question, I did mention that the timelines keep changing. It was initially 7 months and then it became 9 months, I think, at some point in time. I really don't know what it is right now. So she said, based on her office, told her that right now, the average timeline for processing applications is basically over 11 months. The goal, she said, is to take it down. But when, she joined the office, there were no processing officers, and she had to, hire them first off, starting self, they had to turn on the lights, like nothing was happening. So hired the officers, and they also had major backlog of submissions. Over 15,000 LAAs were issued when they could only process 7,000. And even that 7,000, they failed to process them. So that backlog was what was moved to her own government. And that is what they're trying to resolve, which is why, or yeah, resolve no need, which is why you have like major timeline. Because right now, she said her office is working on applications from 2 years ago, which basically, maps, because 2 years ago was 2023. She also introduced work permit extension. So extended work permit for people already here, in the province, which means that there are more applications to be processed, which would also affect the processing timelines for those that are currently in the I see. For every time I say process, take a shot. Who are currently in the process? So take a shot. So, okay, she also said something about, okay, yeah, she also said Manitoba can't nominate more than what the federal government is allowing them to. Given Manitoba can take more people, but the allocation from the government, federal government has to be abided by. Is that good English? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but you get the drift, yeah, you get the gist. She spoke about how she met with the Minister for Immigration in Ontario, because the Ontario process, PNP process, takes what, give or take, about 4 months. And she wanted to find out what are they doing, that we are not doing, or we are doing. Let's even map what the process is side by side. And she realized that we're doing the same thing. The only problem is the backlog. Now, in Manitoba's case, you have the backlog of applications. Remember, 16K as opposed to 7K, right? That's one. We have the processing officers also processing the work permit. Then you now have applications like those ones now that they are processing or working on right now, or should I say assessing right now. They will have to ask you for um up to date documents, because those documents right now are outdated. So all of these things will definitely increase the processing timelines, and that's basically what's happening. So the response to that, my take home from that basically is that we just have to keep keeping on. I honestly thought that this particular we're going to get like positive response to this particular question, because honestly guys don't tire. I understand. I have family members too who want to get here, but they're just stuck either in the pool or in the assessment process. In fact, a lot of people are even on received and don't even have like assessment in progress, even if that is not a major tell, because a lot of times we've seen people get nomination from received. So guys, please, on that note, right, just we just have to keep waiting, because we didn't get a definite timeline. They're not saying it will not happen. It would happen. It just will take longer. She spoke about how that's something they're looking into and really will try to bring down the processing time. But we know all of these things too. A lot of talk they dey inside. And let me not talk too much about that part. I'll move to the next question, because you've gotten the gist, you've gotten the information around that. I'm trying to read out what I have here to see if there's something that I haven't touched on. Um, skilled workers overseas would definitely. So, on that particular question, this was like the closing remark. Number one, skilled worker overseas will take longer than 11 months to be processed, and those people's application are not even recent anymore. So it would also take longer to process, because you would need to have like a back and forth. We've addressed that already. And the second one is this depends on the federal government not giving the allocation, so MPNP cannot nominate. So MPNP, in as much as MPN Manitoba needs people in all honesty, but MPNP cannot do more than what the government has, the federal government in this case, has allotted. In fact, she spoke about how there were complaints that Manitoba was Ontario was doing plenty immigration, how Quebec too is doing plenty immigration, and the government just said, you know what, in fact, let's slash immigration for all the provinces by 50%. Meanwhile, Manitoba can do way more than that. Then speaking of Quebec, she spoke about how her dream is to also get to a point, or get to the place where Manitoba, not to a point, but see how we can get the offices themselves processing their applications like how it is being done in Quebec. So let the province, not offices, province themselves process their application, do everything from start to finish, because Quebec is, on its own, it's a separate body on its own, and they do their thing from beginning to the end. The immigration process is not tied to the federal EE process. If you know, you know. So she's hoping for something like that for Manitoba, because that would also give Manitoba the control, the power over how many people we want to take, and all of that. Things are basically affecting us right now. So on to the next question. This guy spoke about the community strategic initiatives. I'm guessing this is the RCIP, which is the rural. What's that thing again? No? Rural Community Immigration Pilot. Yes, I think that's it. Where you have communities being in charge of the the immigration process, as is in Winkler and Morden. And she mentioned that they also have started in Brandon, which is true. Russell, Delphine, and of course the Winkler and Morden, who have had this for quite some time. She spoke about how she wants to focus on the rural and northern area. Northern area are places like the Par, Thompson, Altona. Dolphin slot is 150 for 2025. So I think the guy was asking, is it still 150? Are they still doing it? I really can't remember that question, make a no lie. But it had to do with the strategic initiative for communities. And I think he's an employer, and he was saying, oh, can they see, let me not speak on things that I'm not so sure about. Shisha, what Shisha said, she spoke about something called the WCM and Immigrate Parkland. Read up on it. I really don't know about it, so I can't really speak on that, but I would also read up on it. And she said this is the first time that they're doing it. I think that's what the guy was asking about, that this is the first time that they're doing it. So, and her office is also available to support them if they have challenges. They have about 150 slots, and she's negotiating with the government to increase, their allotments on that. I'm guessing people that are within this particular part of the journey would know what I'm talking about. Bottom line is just read more. It's not stopping. It's still ongoing, and hopefully more slots. She just wants to empower. She wants to ensure that communities are empowered to be able to process. Her own is communities. Oh, how much can you handle? Because we don't just want to bring people and leave them stranded. You're going to have to take care of them, bring them, ensure that you're catering to them, or you ensure that you cater to them, pick them up from the airport. How many people can you handle? 50 this year, fine. Is it 100? Fine. Is it 150? Fine. Well, on to the next question. um so before we move to the next question, she spoke about something called the trusted employee model that is currently being run in Ontario. Here you have like, sorry, trusted employer model that is currently being run in Ontario, and this particular one gives you expedited timeline. It's also a strategic initiative, and if I don't know again. So this was a suggestion by somebody. I think it was kind of like a question, but also a suggestion or recommendation in one. So he spoke about how people are living, how retention is a major problem in Brandon, and use, his own community as an example, how they have like, I think, funds or so. They have like some, they have a program for newcomers in their community where they try to help them settle nicely, kind of like what WIS is doing. That's the Westman Immigrant Services, but this is like a smaller socio-economic groups. um they have sessions welcoming the newcomers, tell them the things that they need to do, everything that they need to know, and also ensure that they're building that community. And from what he has said, they've had like major retention in that particular community. So he was suggesting, or rather suggesting first to the minister, that they replicate, or no, not replicate, they work with this smaller socio-economic groups to see how they can help them further help the people settling in Manitoba. He also asked what the office is doing in terms of retention for the people in Manitoba. I think he asked that before he went into what they were doing, basically. So there was something the minister said here that struck a chord, and I need you all to listen carefully. So she said her legal team are working on finding a way to remove PR from people who have received it if they had lied on the attestation phase of the MPNP document. You know that when we signed that, and there's a part that said that you are attesting to live in Manitoba. So if you signed that thing and then you now pack your load and then you japa, that they're finding a legal way to remove your PR, whilst not, infringing on the Manitoba Charter of Rights or something like that. I'm not legal. So if you just want to come get nomination and just bounce, something is coming. Oh. On to the next question. Now, the minister earlier spoke about three major things: family, community, and being able to work in the field that you have education or your experience in. So that was what this question was speaking about. Person asking the question referenced that particular comment and said that she is going to ask a question around practicing in the area in which you're qualified in. I be practice in the area that you are qualified in. And she gave her experience. She's a lawyer, and there are major obstacles to overcome, and there are about maybe six, I mean 9 exams that you need to write to practice here, the accreditation bit, and all of those things are pretty expensive. So you just find out that, oh, people have these qualifications from their home countries, and then they get here and they can't really practice, and they're just stuck in the system because money, they talk nice to guys. So she said that, and okay, this is not quoting. What she said was, on her mandate letter from the premier, he mentioned that they should remove unfair barrier to accreditation starting with health. And this is the first time that that has happened. So right now, there is a proper nurse re-entry program in Manitoba. Each international nurse will be assessed differently, individually and differently. And in fact, they changed certain requirements, one of which was the IELTS. I think the IELTS used to be education. What's that one for education again, Seth? Academics. It used to be like the academics IELTS. And I mean, why do you need nurse? This is what she said. To have the academic IELTS, what we just need from them is the general IELTS. So that change has been made. Then she's also working on the IMGs, which is the International Medical Graduate Sport. So she's working on this, and it has increased the figure from 15 to 50. What did I write here? On year thing. I really don't understand that part. The bottom line is, if you're in the medical sector, there's something happening for you, and something they shall increase from 15 people to 50. So please, if this applies to you, you're in the medical sector, go and read up on IMGs, and if you're a nurse, the new nurse reentry program. She's trying to get, or rather they are trying to get more clinical assisted positions, and she's been visiting the rural municipalities and trying to create more options. Then they've started also, I can't remember if she said they've started this, but with education, legal, engineers. Honestly, this accreditation thing, she actually did speak a lot about, and it's something I think it's one of her pet projects. One of the major things she also has her hand eye and hands eye on and hands in. So, those of you in those sectors where you have all of those issues, keep your fingers crossed. I believe something great is coming for you, especially in, Manitoba, in our province, Manitoba. She's also setting up advisory committees for that in Manitoba, for all of this in Manitoba. Now, this next question, on to the next question. This next one is talking about work permits. Somebody spoke about their work permit expiring soon and would there be extension. She spoke about how she worked on that extension, told us the story about how she, you know, is painstakingly the word, ensured that those work permits were extended in 2024. It's not up to her, and all she can do is basically push for it, but she can't promise because it's basically not up to her. She's sure hopeful that it will happen. She did it for 2024. She's working on it right now, and hopefully an announcement is imminent. It's basically within the federal government's jurisdiction. And remember also, we're in the middle of an election. Well, so that's that on work permits. This is what six, page 7. This is a very interesting question because it has sparked conversations in groups that I have been in. I want to say from time immemorial, but it's not even that long. But this is one conversation that is always happening every single time. And the question was, so this babe gave her experience, right? She came to Brandon a couple of months ago. Well, not couple. She came to Brandon some months ago, and she's not gotten a job yet. She's a lawyer with 13 years experience. So now, remember that accreditation issue for lawyers where you have to do all of those examinations, right? Like 9 exams, give or take. And while all of those things are happening, she needs a job. So her question was, if I get a job outside, so no, the question, so her question was, she has not gotten a job in Brandon. She's been looking for, she has not found any. So if she finds one within Manitoba but outside Brandon, can she move? So if she finds a job in Winnipeg, in Winkler, she finds a job in Steinbach somewhere, can she move? And that was the simplest answer that I had seen and heard in the whole of that session. The answer was yes. Then this one is talking about re-entry for nurses and how so many barriers have been taken out. Yeah, we've addressed that. Okay, yeah, so this is another interesting one. And this one would be really interesting for It will be really interesting for the people who have expressed interest, who have EOIs and are worried about the age requirement or the age limit. So this person used herself as an example. So she's a student in ACC, and by the time she's done with school, she'll be over 45. So with this age limit, it means that she won't even be eligible for this thing anymore. The lady said that, oh, that's something that they are looking into. That while reviewing the EOI process, age is currently, or rather, let me not say currently, age is being looked at. So she doesn't even think that that should be a problem. But that by the time the baby is finished from school, that shouldn't be a problem anymore. She's, however, not promising, but increasing the age limit is something they are looking at. She's not committing to it right now, but it's something that is being looked into. So fingers crossed on that. What else? Okay, so that's it. And then one of the things that they also said is how, we have MLAs in Brandon. So if you have issues, you have questions, there's also even an immigration clinic that is being championed by Westman Immigrant Services, WIS, and that is for April 6th. Oh, no, it's not April 6th. I can't remember the date. I'll look for it and I'll put it on the screen. So if you're within the province, you can also attend these clinics, ask your questions. Hopefully, this newcomers forum, this open forum that we had today is something that will be continuous. And she did mention that what are the other topics to address. If you have them, speak to the MLA in your region and sort that out. So guys, that's what I have for you. This is the update from the session we had today. I am spent. I'm gonna call it a day. I'm wishing you all, in fact, everybody, myself inclusive, luck in our journeys, irrespective of what aspect or what part of that processing we are at. If you have questions, please put them down in the comments. If it's something that was discussed or addressed, I would make sure that I respond to it. If it's not, I would see what I can do. I'm not promising because remember, I'm not an immigration consultant. I'm just narrating the news that I have gotten today to all of you. So here is me signing out, and it's time for me to go take a nap. So I forgot to ask you. See, forget how I look. I look like how I feel, honestly. It's been a very busy day. But man, I need you guys to please subscribe to my channel. I'm new in Brandon and I intend to bring this type of content your way and more content about things happening in Brandon. So yes, subscribe to my channel. It's Dose of Harley Quinn. Turn on the notification button, like, comment, share. Basically engage my content. I would really do appreciate that. Thank you. And remember, you need to also subscribe because when I have more information, this is where I'm coming to drop it so that you can see it firsthand. Koba Hakaba. That means I be like that, or isn't it so? So yeah. Bye guys. I need to call it a day right now, and before I do, I apparently need to edit these videos. Goodness gracious. But I got you. I'm gonna do it. See ya.